Great new show started this week out of Melbourne called Ecom and Carry On by online marketing experts. These two guys, Chris Morley and Phil Lay, who's behind this fancy bit of video titling that they've got going on there. A bit swish, I know, but go and check them out. It's at youtube.com/online market experts. And if these two guys don't know the answer to your e-commerce question, then you're asking the wrong question, quite frankly, because these guys know a lot of experience. Great e-commerce use. Go and check them out. I wanted to talk to you this week about the two big things happening in the world at the moment. The Olympic Games and AFL football. If you're not familiar with AFL football, then you should be. It's the greatest game in the world, basically. Anyway, often referred to as Aussie rules. So what I've got going on here, this is Google Insights for Search, and this is an exercise in using Google Insights, which I think is the best keyword research tool out there. It's better than the AdWords tool. It's better than any of these other tools that you can get out there. It doesn't give you competitive information, but what you can get with this is trends, is geolocation type information. I'm going to show you a bit of that now. So what I've got going on here is two searches, Olympics and AFL, right? And you can see here, and this is for the last 90 days for Australia, and I'm just looking at Victoria, and you can see here the majority of the searches are coming out of Melbourne because, let's face it, that's where most people live. Not to say there aren't any searches coming out of, some of the country towns, but as far as Google is concerned, most of them are coming out of Melbourne. And you can see here we've got the spike coming here, and you can see here AFL. And you might think that this red line here, AFL wasn't that popular back in June. Oh, actually it was. The difference here is we had a split round. We had the matches take half the sides had 1 week off and the other half of the sides had the other week off. So there was a sort of not as much activity on each weekend. That's why there was a dip there. So that's what you can say though here, if you look at the last 30 days, is that perhaps the Olympics is dragging a little bit of the search activity away from AFL. And because you can see here, there has been a slight dip in the last couple of weeks since the Olympics started. So sports mad people in Melbourne, some of them aren't looking as much at the AFL as they are now at the Olympics. When you go and have a look at this over, say, since 2004, we see a very interesting stat. A piece of data, I should say. So, 2004 Olympics here, Winter Olympics here, Summer Olympics here, Winter Olympics here. Look, AFL's getting more and more popular for searches anyway. But look at this spike this year, right? Why? Now you might say, well, internet's more popular. It is, but why? I'll tell you why. Mobile. So you've got at least double the amount of searches for the Olympics than what we had in 2008. 2008 is when the iPhone hit Australia, right? Now, I had I wouldn't call it a smartphone as much as it was slightly witty phone, perhaps. It was called the HP iPac, and it was a piece of technology that couldn't really be used for anything. Anyway, it was horrible experience. Cost me $1,000. Couldn't do us. Anyway, kept crashing. Horrible. But then we had the iPhone come along, and all of a sudden we had all the copycats. We had Android and everything else, right? And now, look at the traffic for that same sort of search. Yeah, there's more content online about the Olympics, but I would argue, well, you've probably got Twitter in there now that we can see more content, but seriously, that spike is due to mobile search, right? So if you don't have a mobile strategy, better get one real soon. Interesting here, we can see over that time, different towns, regional towns will come out and show us what's going on. If we want to have a look at AFL searches over that time where they're coming from, same regional cities. If we want to have a look at the search terms associated with that, live AFL, AFL footy, live AFL is quite big. That's interesting. So people are actually looking for live feeds. Unfortunately, the only ones they can get online at the moment really are audio feeds from the radio stations. But that gives you some indication of how you can use this tool. The other interesting thing that you can do is you can put nothing in here. right? Search for nothing. And that will tell you, in this case, the most popular searches coming out of Melbourne. So we can see here that Facebook, Google's just been used as a navigation tool, really. Like, you don't even need a .com. I'm too lazy to type in .com. We all do it. I just want to type in Facebook and click. It's easier. That's what's happening here. YouTube, and by the way, this is people in Melbourne. Games, lyrics, Google. Google? Really, Melbourne? Why? Why do you do this to me? I think that is a symptom of people using Google Chrome and just using the Omni, what do they call it? The Omnibox. This thing up here. The old location bar. It just goes and searches now. So I'm really hoping that's what it is, and I hope you're not trying to break the internet, Melbourne. You'd be watching too much of, yeah, you know the show I mean. eBay, Hotmail, Weather, Yahoo. That's insane. Over here, breakout. Now, breakout phrases are purely spikes, if you like, in activity. So, for instance, you know, MySpace is a breakout phrase? That's insane. In Melbourne, MySpace is a breakout phrase. AFL is a breakout phrase, up 130%. That's because there was a bit happening in the Melbourne football community this weekend. And so you can see you can use those sorts of things, get an idea, put your own town in there and have a look and see what's popular. You'll probably find Facebook, YouTube, pretty much number one. Interestingly here, no Twitter in Melbourne. I find that fascinating. So that means that most Melbourne tweeters are probably doing it via mobile, I'm guessing, and have an app, and they're not doing it via search. That's the conclusion I'm making it. You make your own. But to get an idea of trends and those sorts of things, if we have a look at, say, Australia, all sub-regions from, say, not last 12 months, from 2004. A good one to show you trends is bullying. And we can see here that it only gets searched for during school term. It doesn't get searched for on school holidays. And you can see in 2011 it peaked at the start of the year. Start of the year in 2010, start of the year at 2012. But it looks like 2012 is probably going to match 2010, unfortunately. But you can see how you can use this tool to further research your keywords. And then you can go into Google Webmaster Tools and say go to your search queries. And this will tell you, of course, what you're ranking for, right? Not necessarily what you're getting clicks on. Go into your filters and say, I only want to see search queries containing the word Melbourne, because I want to know what I rank for with Melbourne. And you can see there's a variety of Melbourne-related phrases. And some really weird-ass ones too. I don't know why that's in there. Tools, Melbourne. We rank for Tools, Melbourne. That's because we talk about Webmaster Tools a lot, and we're based in Melbourne. So you can see how you can start to use these different keyword tools together and make some decisions that might turn up some gems for you, or might give you an idea of seasonality or what you should be targeting at a certain time of the year. So have a think about those things. Go and have a look at Google Insights for Search. If you haven't used it, you really should. And you really should go and have a look at your search queries under traffic in Google Webmaster Tools. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.